It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Kevin McIntosh. Starting off with our top story of the day, a local neighborhood in West Bloomfield is going forward in the intricate process of becoming its very own village. We recently were able to get some words from Cass Lake Community Association board member Chris LeDuc to explain how this decision came to be. And delivering this special report is an old friend to the Civic Center TV team, Daniel Zivian.
I'm at the entrance of Zox Cass Lakeside. It's one of the older subdivisions in West Bloomfield, and it's already in its own little world.
We have our own municipal water system. We have roughly 4 miles of roads that we maintain, 3 miles of canals that we maintain. We have 15 vehicular bridges, and all this infrastructure is over 100 years old. When we started looking around for road funding or for water funding, they assume in the first place that if you're managing all this infrastructure that you must be a municipality, so everything is written with that assumption in mind. And because of it, we don't qualify for any funding.
But without those funds, Cass Lakeside is an infrastructure time bomb. Some homes are separated from the mainland by 4 to 6 bridges.
If we weren't in a position to be able to, say, borrow money as a community to fix the bridges, then that responsibility would be for those individual homeowners. So that means they would either have to split the cost of a $1 million bridge, or they wouldn't be able to get emergency services. Fire trucks, ambulances couldn't come to their house. According to the township attorney, we'd be looking at possibly seeing those houses get condemned.
LeDuc says the process began 3 years ago, only securing approval from the State Boundary Commission earlier this year. LeDuc says it could not have been done without the support of his neighbors.
In a lot of communities, neighbors don't even know each other. And we pack our community center in these meetings that we have about the village. So it feels really good that so many people are willing to get together and take chances and solve problems.
LeDuc says residents will elect a 5-member charter commission this November with 3 chances to approve a charter in August 2026. Taxes will go up, but as LeDuc says, quote, there are no free options. For Civic Center TV, I'm Daniel Zivian reporting.
Thank you, Daniel. An interesting community story from our very own neighborhood that highlights what can happen when people come together. We will continuously provide you with more interesting stories happening right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Get ready for a fun night of cards and community at Sylvan's monthly euchre tournament on Wednesday, July 16th. That's today at 6:30. Held at the Sylvan Lake Community Center, this laid-back event is a great way to meet neighbors, enjoy some friendly competition, and test your personal euchre skills. The format is round robin with a $5 buy-in, and the top 3 scorers will win a share of the pot. Everyone rotates as partners, and scores are recorded after each round. BYO drinks, which bring your own drinks, and bring a friend. Everyone is welcome to sign up. You can call or text Amy Decatur at 574-514-1919 to join the fun. And just as a reminder, our team here at Civic Center TV publishes a weekly newsletter that showcases our top stories and highlights our best local programs. Never fall behind on the latest news right here in Greater West Bloomfield ever again. If you're watching Civic Center TV right now, you can simply scan this QR code on your screen just so you can sign up, and then check your email at week's end to stay informed about all that's happening right here in your own hometown and community. And remember, you can always access our content anytime directly on our website. That's civiccentertv.com. Every Thursday night, Guma in Sylvan Lake hosts a charming singer-songwriter series featuring local musical talent, and our very own Jake Schaff was there to catch up on all of the action.
Music is one of the true universal languages, and just recently, Guma Italian Restaurant in Sylvan Lake has been welcoming in so much music thanks to their Thursday Open Mic Night series, a chance for local singer-songwriters to stop by the restaurant, showcase their talent, and the chance to leave a valuable impression on the community with their music.
It definitely has been a work in progress since we opened a year and a half ago. We've been wanting to do this. We are very fortunate to have a connection to Billy, who knows the owner, and he's the one that kind of worked with Brad, the owner, to put this together for us. So far, we've had some really beautiful artists come in, and we're really excited to see what comes in the next few weeks. Since we've opened, we've had the stage here, and people have asked us, like, oh, do you do live music? And it was always, not yet, we want to in the future, this, that, the other. And as soon as we launched it the very first night, we had a full house. So it really made the community excited. It makes us excited. It's been a really good turnout.
It is wonderful. The staff is wonderful, and there's always great fans and people, and I just love singing and bringing joy to people and while they're eating dinner and enjoying their evening.
How do you feel that this is going to help not just yourself, but just the entire music scene here in West Bloomfield?
Just performing and a place opening up their doors to live music always brings new fans and attention to not only the restaurant but to live music. And live music adds a great aspect and atmosphere overall to restaurants and bar scenes and all that kind of thing.
How do you think that these open mic nights help the atmosphere of Guma?
I think it just adds a little bit to it. Just makes it a little more exciting than just having dinner, and then I think that we'll pull more people in, so I think it's fun for everybody. Hopefully it'll just keep catching on, and we're promoting it on social media, so hopefully it'll just keep going and going.
We have a big regular base, and we want to be able to bring those regulars all together. It's certain nights where everybody comes in at the same time and everybody knows each other, so adding the live music really gives them an opportunity to know, like, if they're going to come here for the live music, they're going to see familiar faces and be able to talk to their neighbors and friends that they haven't seen and just get together and enjoy the atmosphere and the music.
There have been so many pleasant sounds to come from this restaurant as of late, and there's going to be plenty more as this event continues to get popular. And the joy of music continues to be spread all throughout Greater West Bloomfield. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
Yes, and don't miss the next show Thursday. Tomorrow, doors open at 4 p.m. with performances starting at 6 p.m. For a memorable evening, head to Guma right there on Orchard Lake Road, or you can find them on Facebook. Guma Italian on Facebook, at Guma Italian. With over 30 years of experience, Jeff Dwoskin is a digital and social media expert who co-founded Stampede Social, a platform for measuring engagement on Instagram. Jeff, a West Bloomfield resident, started Classic Conversations during the COVID pandemic to indulge his love for pop culture, TV, movies, and nostalgia. We actually spoke to Jeff Dwoskin to tell us a little bit more about his podcast platform. Thank you so much for being here, Jeff.
Hey, how are you? Great to be here.
Doing just fine. I see it looks like you have a nice setup. Is this your podcast setup that we're looking at right now?
It is. It is my
Love
podcast
that.
setup. Yeah,
Love that.
thank
So
you.
if you're watching on civiccentertv.com, you can see his lovely setup right there. But let's get straight into it. What inspired you to dive into the wonderful world of podcasting during the pandemic?
I always wanted to do podcasting. I originally was really into social media. Well, I still am. And I was going to start a social media-based podcast in 2017 called Viral Intentions. And I kind of just sat on it for a long time. I was really into Twitter at the time, and, just Viral Intentions, kind of like Cruel Intentions, the movie. I thought it was, a good play on words. And I just sat on it. And then come March 2020, the pandemic hits, and we all are home with some extra time in our hands. And I'm like, oh, I have time finally to do my podcast, and realize I can't start a podcast called Viral Intentions in the middle of a pandemic. And so
Good one.
I mean, that's not even a joke. It is literally what happened. And like, I had everything. And so I had to change it. It was originally called the Jeff Dwoskin Show and involved the classic conversations
Okay.
as I kind of understood what I was, where I was going with this. And so, but it was always interviews and talking to famous people. I've always loved going to Comic Cons, the Motor City Comic Con every year, meeting the celebrities. You can see the 8x10s on my wall if you're watching. And that's what I did. I loved it. So when I'm like, wait, they'll talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I can do this. I can do this.
You never know who you can, who will respond to you if you just reach out on social media, be like, hey, I'm starting a podcast or I'm doing a pod, I would love to have you. And then next thing you know, hey, I'm down, I'll do it. You can nowadays we can just do it from Zoom or do it remotely. It makes things so much easier. Everyone can be a professional interviewer, podcaster, but it makes a difference when you're consistent and you're growing and doing the things like you're doing to become in the top 1.5% of all listened to podcasts. I want to get into your lineup of guests, right? It reads like a tribute to classic television. What draws you to these particular stars and shows?
It's a lot of it's people that I grew up watching, and people from the Brady Bunch, Cousin Oliver and Peter and Cindy and the Love Boat, Isaac, Gopher, and Doc. Happy Days, Ralph Malv and Potsy and Mrs. Cunningham. So these are people I grew up watching. And so to be able to spend time with them and just talk to them about their careers and how they got to where they got to, it's just fascinating. And it's sort of a little dream come true. So it's, once they started saying yes, I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. All right, we got something here. So, yeah.
No, you definitely, what I want to highlight is the fact that you definitely tapped into a market. For you to find that lane and then consistently do what you do to put out that content and then grow into the position that you're in, that says a lot. You're in the top 1.5% of listened to podcasts, a remarkable feat. What do you think resonated so strongly with your audience for you to grow to where you are now?
I think if you're in the right demographic and you see these folks, you want to hear them. And I focus the conversations on conversations that I'd want to hear. They're literally conversations. Like I try to make it sound like I've known these folks and we're talking, we've known each other forever.
Right.
Even though that's not the case. And, I put a lot of time into those conversations. And I think the end result of my conversations with these folks, even if they talk to other folks, I usually get something unique in the collaboration. And this particular interview is special.
Yeah. That's kind of my approach too when I think about it, Jeff. I like to talk to strangers like I knew them, like we just got done talking like 5 minutes ago. Let's just pick up from right here. And I've never met you a day in my life. I think that builds organic chemistry between people sometimes. You'd be surprised how that goes. But with us right here live on The Splash, host of the Classic Conversations podcast, Jeff Dwoskin, talking about his success and consistency of creating a podcast in a very saturated market, by the way. With that being said, I know you have a background in comedy. We've already kind of went over that. And also digital media. Just talk about how these two skills/tools have also helped your podcast and platform stand out.
Absolutely. Well, I think being a stand-up comic for 20 years helps me kind of engage and chat and removes a little bit of the fear of talking to somebody. And I can kind of tap into places maybe that other people might not or might not feel comfortable, but I can do it in a way just because I'm used to kind of engaging with people in that particular way and kind of, connecting on that level.
Right.
Digital marketing, it just helps that, I just kind of understand the landscape. I think you have to be really good at social these days to kind of get the word out and promote yourself. It's a lot of self-promotion.
Yeah, and you have to use those tools. That alone can kind of show you or kind of help you stand out. That can make you show up in algorithms. I'll say mastering the digital media side, the SEO side. But how can you keep their attention? You can capture their attention by popping up in the algorithms, but can you keep their attention? Can you keep them engaged? Can you keep them wanting to know what you're doing next in that type of sense. So with that being said, how do you kind of line up or come to the idea of what you're going to feature in the next episode, who you're going to interview, and things of that nature?
Well, a lot of it sometimes is, you reach out to 10 people. Sometimes 5 say yes, and sometimes 1 says yes, and sometimes none say yes. So, you go to the next group. My focus is always, which is what I tell anyone, it's like, you can't beat the algorithms. They're going to change underneath you. Just focus on doing good content and good things. And, everything kind of works out in the end. So that's my focus, is just sort of, doing what I want to do. I do record ahead of, a lot ahead of time. Like, I'm not recording today and it releases next Monday type of thing.
Okay.
One thing that's different from my podcast than others, a lot of times they're talking about books, but those books are about their life. So it works perfect for the format that I have. But I'm not like a promotion thing. I'm not like, oh, hey, all right, well, your new show is on Amazon tomorrow and blah, blah. It's not like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to then, because I have such a backlog of interviews recorded, I can kind of pace it out, and famous person, person you haven't heard of, but is just as interesting. A lot of the interviews that I do that people may not even understand who they are, because they weren't Penny on Lost in Space, or they weren't, Cagney from Cagney and Lazy. They were Joe Alves, the guy that created the shark in Jaws and made all that visual work. And every visual element, if you're familiar with the movie Close Encounters of the Third Time that you can think of, this guy Joe Alves is responsible for. And so, like, that interview in itself is amazing. It's one of those kind of gems, and there's a lot of those type of gems where you're like, I don't know who this person is, but it's likely their stories are very robust, very amazing, and they're kind of the behind the scenes of the things that you do know about.
I love that perspective. Every now and then you'll stumble across an interview on YouTube. It'll be somebody, I was the executive or assistant production manager or director of such and such movie, but then they have so many stories or different angles or never before heard of stories. You're like, wow, I never knew that. So I love that you're bringing that to that, because those are gems, like you said, those hidden stories that you're bringing to the world and to the digital media in general. So keep doing that good work right there. I love that. I'm an advocate for it. Real quick, any guests, dream guest that you want to have that you have not yet had?
I would love to have Henry Winkler on my show. That's sort of like my dream guest.
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane, Steven Spielberg, those would all be great.
Okay. Names I'm familiar with. I like that. Yeah. Hey, good luck. We hopefully you'll get those. Last question. You mentioned bringing a bit of Michigan into your episodes whenever you can. Can you just talk about the role that Michigan or your Michigan background plays in shaping the podcast, if it does at all?
Yeah, a lot of times when I'm reading someone's memoir or something, like Dean Butler, he was Almanzo on Little House on the Prairie. So he was the one that married Melissa Gilbert's character. If you need to paint it a little more on that. So I'm reading his thing, and it's just, he starts talking about Frankenmuth, Michigan in his memoir. And so we ended up having a conversation about that, because I like to dive into that, because it's like no one else is really going to ask him about that. Right. So we ended up talking about Bronner's, because he was a huge Christmas fan. So we ended up talking about Bronner's, that Christmas Wonderland. And then, I introduced him, but for some reason he hadn't had the fried chicken. So it was like he didn't go to either. I'm like, which one did you go to? And he's like, yeah, I didn't. I'm like, what? He's like, but he was really into the fudge. So it's like, it was like, if you can bring that. And a lot of times they come through Michigan a lot. You know what I mean? Like that, it's been a part of their journey as well, just because Michigan is such a hot spot for entertainment or performing. So it's likely that at some point they've been here.
Yes. Hey, Jeff, thank you so much for bringing some perspectives to us and your podcast. Once again, just tell people how they can watch and or listen to your podcast on any platform, please.
Yeah, if you're a podcast listener, you can go to anyone, type in Classic Conversations. If you also add in my name, Jeff Dwoskin, it probably comes up a little easier. Classic, jeffisfunny.com is my website. You can hit that up. That's the easiest thing to remember, probably. And then you can link to any podcast from there, any player from there as well. So. Yeah.
Oh, man. Thank you so much again, man. I'm pretty sure a lot of people who aspire to do podcasts can get a lot of gems out of this information, out of this interview. Once again, host of Classic Conversations podcast, Jeff Dwoskin, we appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
Nice. And Jeff's podcast, Classic Conversation, despite starting off as a side project, gained significant popularity, placing it in the top 1.5% of listened to podcasts. Once again, you can support him at jeffisfunny.com for more information. Paddleboard Comedy Night, hosted by Luna Moon Sup Yoga, is part of the broader Paddlepalooza series, where each session features a fresh theme, glow in the dark, tropical luau, costumes, curated playlists, and more surprises. Here to tell us a little bit more about this event is the owner of Luna Moon Sup Yoga, Misty Markham. How you doing, Misty?
Good. How are you, Kevin?
Doing just good. Happy to be here. Happy to have you here, and happy to talk about what you have going on. So let's just start off with the basic details, the who, what, where, when, and why of the event, just to start off.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Paddlepalooza is kind of a special series. Started a little last year, but this year we're kicking it up a notch, and we're including comedy. So this is stand-up comedian meets stand-up paddleboarding. And it's going to be here on Sylvan Lake, and we're gearing up for it. It's going to be Friday night at 7 o'clock, and live comedian.
Nice. This is pretty nice. I'm expecting a great show. With that being said, a huge fan of comedy myself. And what community connections do you feel like this is going to bring in our local area?
Well, hopefully some uniqueness, because I feel like this is a pretty unique one. This was just gemmed right out of brainstorming. Honestly, those winter days, just thinking of the water and can't wait to get back on it. And honestly, with paddleboarding alone, I always say it's more than just a paddle or a board. It's about community, and that's how Luna Moon was really started to begin with, was to draw people in. And yes, you might think that paddleboarding could be very intimidating if you've never done it before, but honestly, I've really created a supportive community on and off the water.
Nice, nice. So I want to get into our actual featured comedian, Corey Yurt. Am I saying that right? Can you please just talk about why this comedian was selected?
Well, we have a little bit of a history together. We did practice and teach yoga together at one point, and she's decided to try a new adventure. So she's just getting her experience. She's been doing it for probably more than half of a year now. And I went and saw her back in the spring live and pitched her the idea, and here we are. Basically, what a unique experience for her, and to get even the promo videos and content that she'll be able to have and share.
Oh man, that's pretty nice. It's even it speaks volumes that you both have a history together. So she's familiar with paddleboarding and everything like that. So all right, so let me just make this clear. I want to put. Are we expecting what visual? I'm expecting her literally be out in the middle of the lake on a paddleboard, telling comedy. Is that what we're looking at? Please explain this.
So possibly. We have a few different ways that we could possibly do this. I also have a platform, which is a pod, and that's where I teach yoga from. So really, it becomes like this floating studio. We're thinking Friday night, it becomes a floating stage.
Okay. So you're already ready. You have everything, a floating stage for it, and this seems like it's going to be very, very unique. I'm happy and excited about it. With me right here live on The Splash, by the way, owner of Luna Moon Sup Yoga, we have Misty Markham talking about the upcoming yoga and comedy night that'll be taking place July 18th as well. A paddleboard community night, we should say. So Misty, I want to talk about the whole Paddlepalooza concept in general. How do you feel like this enhances participants' connection to summer and just our community overall?
Here's what I've witnessed. So like I said, from the years past, doing some unique themes, summer goes fast, and season can be short sometimes if you have weather and that kind of thing. But we started a moonlit paddle last year. And honestly, it was the connection with nature, if you couldn't get any more because of being on the water and being outside and on a board and just leaving your phone on shore and that kind of thing and just really connecting with each other. Then, like I said, out of the brainstorming, we started to think of some other ways to get people to just be more in the element. So we already did an 80s themed one, which we included a little music. We try not to be too loud with it, but just to get people thinking about stuff about the 80s. What did you do that was fun? What did you wear? And, dressing up is optional. So a few of them did kind of have something going on with some neon clothes and that kind of thing. So with the comedy now, it's more or less bringing in now a comedian, like I said, to give her that experience, unique experience, and then just vibe with us. I mean, how cool is that? And then the sky's the limit, like on themes, just pick from the brainstorming hat.
Yeah. I bet too, and I think it speaks volumes just to the culture of our Greater West Bloomfield community that paddleboarding just in itself, with us having so many inland lakes, is just part of what we do. But then just adding different flares and themes to it just shows that hey, this is our community, and now we're just kind of spicing it up and styling it up so we can enjoy our summer before it's gone in an instant like that as well. I'm glad you kind of explained that. Now let's just talk about for the people who are big comedy fans, so this might draw them to it, but they've never been on a paddleboard. Any advice for the first-time paddleboarders coming to the comedy night? What should they bring, wear, or expect?
Well, literally, bring yourself. Bring a towel. Just, a great attitude. Expect to meet some awesome people that are very supportive. Like I said, that whether they have been with us 3 or 5 times or more, it's your first time, just embrace the community that you have there, the support group. And literally, like I said, floating studio that's anchored, you're going to be anchored. So you're just kind of get floated in, connected in with that pod. We'll get you tied in, get kind of comfortable. Maybe you have your life jacket as a little pillow, or however you want to experience. There's so much uniqueness and flexibility that comes with paddleboarding in a way.
Yeah. No, rolling on the floor laughing on this one. You'll end up in the lake somewhere. So try to control the laughter if we can. But Misty, just that while I have you right here, any other future events that you're planning that we can look forward to either this summer or in the future ahead?
Well, actually, I have a kids camp in August. So there's that for a 3-day kids camp. That's kind of unique, and I've been able to do that for the past few years as well. And what's great about the kids is they actually give you some more creative ideas.
Nice. Okay, cool. Well, before we let you go, just lastly, for anyone who just joined us, the details of the stand-up paddleboard comedy night, again, that's happening.
Yes, it's on Friday night at 7 p.m. in Sylvan Lake. You can find me at lunamoonSUPyoga.com and hit me up. Send me a message if you want any more details.
There we go. Friday, July 18th, 7 p.m. Once again, paddleboard comedy night. And Misty Markham, owner of Luna Moon Sup Yoga, we appreciate you again.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
We appreciate it. A lot of great things happening right here in our community, and we love to promote that. Once again, you can keep up with her, lunamoonsupyoga.com for more information. More things affecting our Greater West Bloomfield community that we should know about and getting a professional perspective on it. We'll talk more about that coming up. We are live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
Mom, did you really need to buy 2 can openers for our emergency kit?
I can't help it. They're 2 for 1. What's this?
We need to keep our family communication plan safe in case of an emergency.
Thanks, Tita.
We should think ahead to keep Mom and Dad safe when it floods this year. I've got an evacuation route loaded in my phone.
I've got an updated list of Dad's meds.
And I've got just what we need to get them to take this seriously.
Start a conversation with your family and plan together for emergencies.
Join us July 26th and 27th for Michigan's premier art event, the 22nd Orchard Lake Fine Art Show in West Bloomfield, featuring a juried selection of spectacular paintings, sculpture, clay, glass, fiber, wood, jewelry, and more. Food trucks, live music, and fun for all. The Orchard Lake Fine Art Show, voted top 100 art fairs in America, Saturday and Sunday, south of Maple at Orchard Lake Road. Free parking behind Corwell Health. Details at hotworks.org. See art, love art, buy art. See you there.
Missed one of our live broadcasts or one of your local municipal meetings? Check it out online at civiccentertv.com. Every meeting, show, and interview on demand. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Kevin McIntosh. And then there's some surprising news. Contrary to popular belief, the winter and holiday season are amongst the lowest months for suicide in the United States. Instead, rates peak in late spring and early summer, especially from May to July. The CDC and National Center for Health Statistics consistently report this seasonal trend, debunking the winter suicide myth. And with me on The Splash Live to explain a little bit more from a professional standpoint is therapist from Birmingham Maple Clinic, Carrie Craywick. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, so this was an extremely interesting piece of information that I saw myself once we decided to share this story. But I'm glad that we have you here to talk about it. Spring and early summer have some of the highest suicide rates. Why do you think these warmer months trigger mental health crisis for many?
There are a lot of explanations, but it was very shocking news to me, too. One thing we have known is that violent crime goes up in the summer, and in ways, suicide is an act of violence against yourself. So there might be some explanation there, but the science says that this holds across many different countries and parts of the world. And the explanations aren't totally known, but they're looking at some biological explanations, like perhaps the temperature increases, changes in the body, changes in our neurotransmitters that might cause depression to peak. Even allergens and seasonal allergies may cause inflammation in the body, which we know inflammation can impact depression, anxiety, impulsivity. Really? Of course, in the summer and the lighter days, we feel more energy. We may be out more and up more and using more energy. Even certain occupations, farming, for example, is going to be peak busyness in the summer. Mm-hmm. So that may cause some stress, but also some toll on the mind and body. Comparing ourselves to other people, or even comparing ourselves to how we think we should be feeling. Yep. If we say, oh my gosh, summer, we should be happy in the summer, it's finally spring, we should be happy, and we're not, then that difference between where we think we should be and where we actually are makes us actually feel worse. And then lastly, of course, drinking and drug use in the summer. There's concerts, there's parties, there's lakes, there's camping, there's pools. There's sort of all these environments where maybe people are drinking more or using more recreational drugs that could also be a contributor.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you brought a lot. You brought that into perspective. I'm going to tell you that first and foremost, because at first it kind of threw me off guard, just like you said. But then as you explain the context and the different factors that play into it, it kind of makes sense, unfortunately. Now, I want to kind of look at a different angle. Some of the notes that I have, research shows that adolescents spike in suicidal ideation during fall. Now, how can schools and parents in our community of West Bloomfield better support our students as the school year begins?
Sure. I mean, I think just being aware of this research that, when a kid is thrust from their summer vacation where maybe they've had relaxed expectations and they've gotten a lot of rest, and then they start the school year and they're feeling maybe anxiety, or maybe they had a summer kind of free of the social pressures to conform or be a part of a group, and they've been with their cousins or friends that is more casual, and now they're at school and they're feeling the pulls of popularity and that stuff, just kind of recognizing the pressures that are on them and asking your kids, how are they doing? You know, has their friend group changed? Are they feeling left out or excluded? Are they feeling like they're staying on top of their work? And can they, do they feel like they're doing okay with where they want to be? And if they're not where they want to be, what steps or strategies are they taking to get there?
Yeah, it's a lot to consider. I mean, I remember just being a kid and having certain anxiety going from middle school to high school or from high school to college and making that transition, let alone just a grade within the same school, you know, middle school or high school, but just making that transition alone, it can be a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations, a lot that we put on ourselves as well. So thank you for the perspective and talking about it from the youth aspect. Now I want to kind of flip it and talk about it from more of an adult and senior base, which we have a lot of right here in our community. What community-based strategies can help lessen isolation for some of our seniors or empty nester adults during these vulnerable moments as well?
Sure. I thought these were such an important question, you know, from an adult. And of course, I mean, seniors perhaps are maybe not as connected via internet and social media and things like that. So when they're isolated, they're very isolated. But I thought in the regard to the risk for people who are potentially suicidal, they are not embedded in a network either socially or otherwise. And our social media networks connect us to people worldwide, but we don't feel that connection locally. Even our Amazon driver isn't the same every single day. Our DoorDash deliverer isn't the same every day. So we don't really have like those like routine touch points we might have had in the olden days to connect with anybody when we're the least likely to connect with anybody. I mean, certainly if you have a relative that's elderly and alone, taking the time to check in on them, reach out, make plans to meet outdoors, do things that we know are good for you. But the people that are the most at risk in our communities are the ones that are not connected really to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and then just like you said before, just to start it off, they're not even really that connected with social media or technology. So that's a way for a lot of the younger adults or younger people to kind of connect with other people who are outside. Even if they're not around them physically, they use social media. But our older adults don't necessarily have that connection. So that's a whole nother level as well. And with me right here live on The Splash, by the way, therapist from Birmingham Maple Clinic, we have Carrie Craywick just talking about how suicidal rates usually spike during the spring and early summer months and how we can actually combat that as well. Now, from your expertise, how do you feel like, or how can local employers, health providers, or even some of these partners right here in our community work together to enhance the mental health safety net during these summer months?
Sure, I definitely think just being informed of the signs and symptoms, recognizing if someone's, you know, oversleeping, overeating, or undersleeping, or undereating, if they're, you know, seem to be intoxicated at work, or if, you know, you're noticing any changes in their activity level, all of those things would be signs. And I mean, like, ultimately, I always inform people, you know, if you have the thought that somebody could be suicidal, certainly ask them outright, are you feeling suicidal? Like, are you feeling okay? Are you feeling safe? And if they say, like, if you're at risk of hurting yourself, be confident to ask, have you thought about what you would do to hurt yourself? Do you have a plan? And if they have a plan, ask them if they intend to act on it. If they're answering yes to these questions, this is a person in very high risk.
Right.
But the biggest way to be helpful to them is to ask them. Often getting that information out can relieve the situation, just knowing someone cares enough. But then certainly taking the steps to say, let's call 911 and have you evaluated, or let's call this crisis hotline and together and see if we can get you the resources you need. But it really just starts with asking those bold questions directly.
100%. And, you know, hopefully you have a connection with someone that, you know, you feel comfortable asking, and they feel comfortable enough answering as well. So that's a situation that we're talking about in most cases as well. Now, I want to get to a situation you were talking about with the energy increase and dealing with that. For someone who isn't experiencing this increased energy during these warmer months, how can your clinic personally actually help channel that energy into something positive?
I think something that's so interesting, right, especially like we said, summer is a time where maybe we feel more agitated, but the truth is that excitement, agitation, and anxiety are very closely related in our body. They all kind of feel the same. We get a little kind of jolted up. Emotional regulation is about the ability to calm down. So it's okay to have feelings and to get up or down about anything, but we always need to be able to restore normalcy. And so therapists are great. Talk therapy and talking to someone is great for helping to restore a normal mood. Certainly other activities like journaling or taking walks outdoors, deep breathing exercises, and therapists can really look at a person's life and say, wow, these are really the skills that you have available to you, and let's see if we can use them or apply them when your mood is changing in a way that's unpleasant and unchecked.
Okay. I love the information and how you're providing context. And we don't have too much more time right here, but just to kind of pick your brain, anything that you've personally been seeing as far as trends in Greater West Bloomfield, or is there anything that we should all look out for in regards to signs to our neighbors and family members right here in Greater West Bloomfield that they may be looking for some type of help?
Yeah, I think the trends that we're seeing societally are happening here in West Bloomfield and are happening statewide and nationwide, perhaps even worldwide, is that a lot of stuff related to social comparison. So like if you in the summer you're thinking everybody's on these great vacations and I'm at work and that makes you feel miserable, that's going to contribute to depression. Or if you're a young kid starting school and you're saying, wow, everybody is friends and I don't have any or something, if you're always looking to other people to compare where you think you should be at, you're going to often find yourself feeling miserable, especially since everybody puts the Facebook favorites up instead of what's really going on in their lives. So we're probably not doing enough to realize that most of us have highs and lows in our life, and it's not just everybody else's highlight reel and yours is all the downside. And we see that year round, whether it's at the holidays and it looks like other people are spending more money, or it's at Valentine's and someone has a better relationship. So those things happen year round where these events trigger this social comparison that's really inaccurate, and people really feel a lot of shame that's so unnecessary. The other thing I think is a societal concern is that there are people who are like not really connected in their community. They're getting their groceries delivered, they're getting DoorDash, they're not really going outdoors and doing healthful activities. They're not really encountering other people in face-to-face life. They're doing their work via Zoom, they're maybe doing their therapy via Zoom, and just like those will be the hardest people to connect with, as a society. But those are the people that are probably the deepest need and the most vulnerable.
Yes, yeah. And then even when you get a DoorDash or something like that, you have the option to not even meet the person dropping that off. Just leave it at the door, and I'll come out there, and you just go away. So I mean, I get it to a certain extent, but those are great different factors that we all need to consider when we're maybe evaluating ourselves or others that we love. But we want to thank you so much again for your time and your information. Once again, therapists from Birmingham Maple Clinic, Carrie Krawick, we appreciate you again.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and we'll continuously provide more information and give you professionals right here in our area that can provide insight to information that affect you and everyone right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Currently, approximately 19% of Michigan residents are seniors, compared to 21% who are children. In Oakland County, population data shows 14% of residents are 55 to 64, and 17.5% are 65 and older, mirroring the statewide aging trend. Recently, we had Bernadette Hudgens, Senior Services Manager for West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation Commission, to tell us more about our local community and how they are accommodating for these population trends. Thank you for being here, Bernadette.
Hi, thank you. I'm really glad to be here with you as well.
Yeah, I'm very curious about this. Aging is something that we all aspire to do. God willing, we're able to, get into an older age. But this is something that we need to pay attention to. It's saying that basically our residents in Michigan, specifically even in Oakland County, they're getting older, and our youth aren't necessarily matching that. So with Michigan's rapidly aging population, what new senior-focused programs are West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation Commission considering to better support our older adults?
Well, I will tell you, one of the things that we have a major focus on is making sure we're providing resources and services. So we just finished our Americans Community Living Act. We had a grant, and it was a wonderful grant, which was provided to us by Haley Stevens. And that grant allowed us to do some programming around nutrition, social interaction, and making sure that we're creating a space for people to feel comfortable aging in place, because that's what most people are making their preference at this point, to age in their home. So having activities for them to be able to do that.
That's an interesting.
And to get them out of the house.
Right. That's an interesting phrase that you brought, aging in place. So that's something I haven't been privy to, but as you said that, it kind of made sense. Just pretty much staying where you are, where you're comfortable, where you've grown, and most people probably already own their house and been there for decades, and why would I want to go anywhere else? And with that being said, I want to ask you about something too, your work, possibly collaboration with other organizations. The Oakland County's Blueprint for Successful Aging is what we talked about briefly. Are you all collaborating with this blueprint to address some of this housing cost burdens and transportation, and what does that look like?
Well, our role here is to focus on the programming. So when we think about the WB Parks Connect Senior Center is about having activities and resources and information and educational opportunities for our Bloomfield residents. So our goal is to make sure that we're having things that people can get out, do, as well as get information that will help them live their best life. So again, wonderful, you have a video from one of our holiday events. So again, these are the things that we have. So we have that was one of our luncheons. We create those opportunities for people to come socialize, meet new people. You see, we have a new cornhole kit. We've expanded our game room. So we're focusing on bringing everybody. We don't want anyone to think that it's just about women, but it's about everybody and creating space for activities.
Inclusivity, love that. And it seems like you all are, like you said, incorporating new things as well to kind of keep them moving along and feel active and engaged as well. Now, a lot of services are only accessible online as well, resources. And with that being said, there's kind of this barrier that we talked about on Civic Center TV before about technology in our senior residents. What strategies are in place to assist some of these seniors in navigating maybe some benefits or resources online, especially tackling some of those technology and online form concerns?
You know what? That's a great question, Kevin. There are so many things out there that individuals just don't know about. Like, there's actually a program that we have here in WB Parks, and we do it in partnership with the library. It's once a month. It's usually the first Monday of the month in the afternoon, late afternoon, where you can come and learn how to use your technology. That's first the number one thing, because as we all know, there's no longer a Yellow Pages. So if you want to get a contact with someone, you need to know how to access the internet to be able to do that. So that tool is accessible. There's also some other resources out online called AARP has Senior Planet, which is the online tool that people can access. And I will give you these links so when you post it, you can provide it. There's also a partnership that the state of Michigan has with another online training program, and that's it's through the state of Michigan. And those online resources provide free classes, whether it be educational or exercise classes. If you want to have a book club, if you want to participate in a book club, if you want to socialize with people, there's opportunities to do that, and you can do that online. But the challenge is if you don't understand technology and you're not comfortable with it, it would make that difficult. So we do have resources, and we're having some conversations of potentially thinking what are some more frequent classes we can have. So we're trying to figure out what that would look like.
Yeah, I know that's a big factor in just modern living nowadays, being able to navigate and utilize technology and different devices. So that's our senior residents aren't an exception. And I hate to say the word senior and refer to them as that, but we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up. Right now, joining me right here live on The Splash, Senior Services Manager for WB Parks, Bernadette Hudgens, talking about the growing population of older residents in Michigan, even specifically in West West Bloomfield Township and Oakland County. Now, I just want to get off track a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. We briefly spoke about the terminology of seniors, if I'm not mistaken. I want you to kind of clarify this. We talked about it off camera, but let's talk about this a little bit more. A lot of people refer to them as seniors. Is this the right term to use? Are they comfortable with this, not comfortable?
I think it depends on the person.
Okay.
What I'm finding is people are living longer, and so you have 50-year-olds. Back in the day, you might have called them a senior. Oh, don't call me that. So we are thoughtful about the terms that we use, but I have had a number of people say, just call me Mary, just call me John. You don't have to put a title on me. So I think that that's just important too, to find out how someone wants to be referred to. But when you think about a group, we are thoughtful to use the word older adult. People could take offense to the word elderly. So again, just being thoughtful of making sure people feel included. And people shut up. I was talking to a sorority sister the other day, and she says, we have all these great programs, but our 50-year-olds and our 60-year-olds don't want to join because it has the term senior on it. And they're not realizing that these resources and information are helpful for them as well. So you may notice in some groups, they're getting away from the term senior or even older adults, and they're just using the age. So they may say 50 and older or 55 and above. So to not turn anyone off is to, again, the goal is to have people utilize the resources. And we want people who are younger to get the resources. And you may be aware that AARP is offering their membership to much younger population because they know that they want to inform people earlier so that you have the resources even before you need them.
Right. Yeah, and is getting ahead of it is the key of it all as well. But getting back to the whole point, yes, I just want to clarify that as well, because sometimes we put labels on people and they may or may not be comfortable with it. So addressing them directly, or at least asking them how they like to be addressed, is probably the most respectful thing. Thank you for that from your experience. Now, we have a lot of communal spaces in our area: parks, events, fitness programs. How does the township and WB Parks adapt those spaces to meet the needs of some of our older adults, as opposed to maybe the youth or even just the younger adults?
Well, it's so funny you say that, because we are constantly trying to think through how can we create spaces that are accessible to all? Because what we found is if you're focusing on making things age-friendly, you're going to capture everyone. So something that may benefit an older adult may also support a mother who has a child in a stroller. So it's all these things of how do we make our spaces more accessible to all? And actually, that's one of the investments that we recently made here at Connect. The beginning of the year, we added automated doors on the front as well as at the restroom, because our goal is to, again, include everyone and help people be able to participate. But I think that's really important, thinking about creating space and making sure that they're accessible, whether it be by wheelchair or by walker, all the things to reduce trip hazards so that people can be safe and have fun and enjoy themselves outside of their home.
Correct. Very considerate, and it's good to know that you all are making those changes and making adaptations, I should say, to different environments to help our older adult residents as well. Now, you handed me over a large packet with a lot of information regarding the older adult residents in our area and, some of the information. But with that being said, given projections that Michigan will have a natural population decrease by 2050, what does this mean for future planning of senior versus youth services in West Bloomfield?
Well, this is one of the things that we're constantly keeping our eye out for, especially as we're thinking about, as we're working on building our new multi-generational community center, making sure that the spaces are thoughtful to be inclusive, thinking about where do we space things, where do we put things, so that we can be inclusive and also thoughtful about larger programs, smaller programs. Where will people relax? Where will people actually want to get away to? Because since we're all going to be in one building, we acknowledge that, some older adults may say, I love to see the kids in passing, but I don't want to hear them. So, okay, well, where do you put them? So all these things are important to make sure that people, again, feel like they are part of the process and that they're able to have a comfortable space.
Right. Well said. That was funny. With me right here live on the Splash, by the way, Senior Services Manager Bernadette Hudgens from WB Parks, just talking about the growing older adult population in Michigan, Oakland County, and West Bloomfield Township. Curious, building this connection between the younger residents and the older adult residents. How can younger residents in West Bloomfield contribute to and connect with the senior community through volunteer programs and maybe even intergenerational activities?
Actually, we are trying to figure out the best way to do that in our senior space. We've been talking about some kind of programming that we want to do, more programming around intergenerational activities. We currently have the Parks Children's Program. They currently have some programs this summer, actually, with Grandma and Me, Grandpa and Me. So some programs we do currently have that are either in our guide or preparing to be in the next seasonal guide around engaging with your grandparents. So I think that's one piece. So coming on out and having fun with us. Another piece is, I think technology is a great way to connect the younger population and the older population. It's just amazing how children between, the age of 1, how they understand technology in a way that most people may not, only because they live their entire lives with it. And so with that being said, I think technology is a great way to keep people connected.
Nice.
And teaching the children, teaching the older folks how to use technology. And I think the best age to do that is really the ages of 11 to like 14. And then because they are just so excited that they know something that you don't know, that they're really helpful and really patient in educating their family members and friends.
Yeah, I love that. We got to build that bridge. That way the younger residents here can actually, connect with them and see a little bit more of themselves in our older residents as well. Bernadette, we appreciate so much of your time. Any lasting information you want to briefly get off before we let you go?
I do. We actually are having our Connect open house, and we're doing that on August the 26th, and make sure I have my time right, from 1 to 3:30, and that will be captured in our guide. So more information to come that will be in our fall guide. We hope to see the seniors there. We're going to have all of our programmers from throughout all of Parks there, along with some of our instructors. We think that it's really important that people get a chance to know some of the resources and information that's available here at Connect. So we're really excited, and we're looking forward to seeing people on August the 26th here at Connect. Our address is 33230 West 14 Mile here in West Bloomfield.
All right. Well done. And thank you so much again for sharing that information and that insight. Senior Services Manager for WB Parks Recreation Commission, Bernadette Hudgens. Thank you again.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
And if you want to know more about the older adult services provided by WB Parks, visit their website at wbparks.org for more information. And this is also a reminder, again, our team sends out a newsletter that highlights our top stories and best program each and every week. Now you'll never get behind on any of the top stories happening right here in Greater West Bloomfield. If you're watching on Civic Center TV right now, you see that QR code. Scan that QR code with your smartphone. It'll take you to a sign up page. And from there, just check your email address every Friday afternoon, and you'll get a newsletter that tells you everything that's happening through our Civic Center TV channel. And of course, don't forget, you can always go directly to our website as well. Keep up with Civic Center TV on all digital platforms. That's Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, as well as YouTube, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter, at Civic Center TV. Once again, if you're watching on Civic Center, scan that QR code. It'll take you directly to the page where you can see all of our social media. And of course, you can go directly to our website at civiccentertv.com for more information. I have been your host, Kevin McIntosh. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And you make sure you go to our website, once again, civiccentertv.com. We are live local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.